Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer. We're jumping straight into the hidden, high-speed, and incredibly hot world right under the hood of your car. Today, we're demystifying the secret life of internal combustion engine lubrication. I know, it sounds a bit technical at first, but I promise you, once we break down the invisible battles happening inside your engine, you're never going to look at your vehicle the same way again. So picture this. You're standing in an auto parts store, holding a plastic bottle of motor oil, and you're staring at those random numbers and letters, like 5W30 or 10W40. We've all been there, right? But what does that W actually stand for? Does it mean weight, wear, something else completely? Keep that in the back of your mind, because by the end of this explainer, we are going to decode that exact everyday mystery together.
Okay, let's dive straight into section 1, the basics of lubrication.
So what are we really talking about here? Lubrication is basically just applying a substance, like oil or grease, to minimize friction and get things moving smoothly. We all know what friction feels like, right? Rub your hands together fast and you feel the heat. But inside an engine, you've got solid metal parts violently scraping against each other thousands of times a minute. Without a lubricant in there, that metal would literally weld itself together from the heat and destroy the entire machine in seconds. Moving right along to section 2, why engines need oil. In an internal combustion engine, the lubricating system relies on a mechanical pump that forcefully pushes oil right into the bearings and throughout the entire block. You can literally think of it as the circulatory system of the machine, with oil acting as its lifeblood. And when that lifeblood gets pumping, it's doing a lot more than just making things slippery. It's a massive, multi-pronged defense system. By cutting down friction, it inherently minimizes power loss and boosts efficiency, but it also dampens harsh vibrations and deadens the noise of moving metal. On top of that, it actively cleans the engine by fighting off corrosion and carbon deposits. And crucially, it absorbs and dissipates the intense heat generated by all those moving parts, basically acting as a secondary cooling system. All right, section 3, types and essential properties. Let's look at the science of smooth. You know, lubricants actually come in a few different forms. You've got solid ones like graphite, molybdenum, and mica. There are also semi-solids, which are your really heavy greases. But for internal combustion engines, we are almost entirely dealing with liquid lubricants. Generally, these are mineral oils obtained by refining petroleum. Being in a liquid state is exactly what allows it to be pumped so rapidly through the engine block. Now, this brings us to what is absolutely the most critical scientific concept of this entire explainer: viscosity. It's simply a measure of an oil's resistance to flow. Think about pouring a glass of water versus pouring a jar of thick honey. The honey has a way higher viscosity, and the golden rule to remember here is that the viscosity of an oil decreases as its temperature goes up. Engineers call this relationship the viscosity index, and they actually measure this resistance to flow in some pretty specific units, like Sable universal seconds, centistokes, centipoises, and redwood seconds. This viscosity stuff gets incredibly real when we talk about temperature extremes. Ever struggle to start a freezing car in the dead of winter? That sluggish, painful engine turnover is all because of the oil's cloud point and pour point. The cloud point is the specific temperature where a cooled oil actually starts to turn solid. Get even colder and you hit the pour point, the exact temperature right above where the oil just absolutely refuses to flow anymore. And it goes without saying, if your oil won't flow, your engine gets zero protection. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the opposite extreme, high heat. Here, we measure performance through flash point and fire point. The flash point is the temperature where the oil vapor gives off a quick, fleeting flash if exposed to a naked flame. But the fire point is way more serious. That is the temperature where the oil, once lit, will actually burn steadily for at least 5 seconds. It's a pretty stark difference between a quick warning flash and a sustained, literal fire inside your engine compartment. Oh, and just as a quick physical baseline to keep in your back pocket, liquid engine lubricants typically have a specific gravity sitting right between 0.85 and 0.96. Let's jump into section 4, decoding SAE oil grades. And this brilliantly illustrates the physical reality of what we've been talking about. Look at these test tubes dropping solid weights through different oil grades. This numbering system comes from the Society of Automotive Engineers, or SAE. An SAE viscosity number is determined by the range of viscosities the oil falls into at a specific temperature. You can totally see how an SAE 20 oil puts up way less resistance to flow than a thicker SAE 50 oil. That weight just sinks so much faster in the lower numbered grade. Which brings us right back to our opening mystery. What does that W stand for? We'll check out this temperature chart. The W actually stands for winter. Grades like 5W, 10W, and 20W are engineered specifically to flow and protect your engine in freezing winter conditions, keeping well away from their pour points. Grades without the W, like 20, 30, and 40, are designed for normal, warmer summer use. So when you buy a bottle of 5W30 oil, you are getting an absolute game changer. It's engineered to act like a thin 5 grade in the winter cold, but then maintain the thick protection of a 30 grade in the blazing summer heat.
Okay, section 5, inside the lubrication system. Let's see how this builds together.
So where does all this oil actually go? It gets deployed straight to the front lines, the exact spots enduring massive physical stress. We're talking about the cylinder pistons and piston rings scraping up and down at thousands of RPMs, the main bearing, the crankshaft, crank and piston pins, connecting rods, camshafts, and the valves. Guys, these are brutal metal-on-metal war zones. If the oil delivery fails for even a fraction of a second here, the engine basically destroys itself. So, how do we guarantee the oil gets there? Most modern cars use what's called a wet sump system, where the oil just hangs out in a pan at the bottom of the engine. High-performance vehicles might step it up to a dry sump system. But I really want to focus on a unique third category, two-stroke lubrication. You'll find two-stroke engines in things like dirt bikes, chainsaws, or leaf blowers. This setup doesn't even have a separate oil pan or mechanical pump. Instead, it works in 3 really elegant steps. First, the lubricating oil, usually just 2 to 3% of the total volume, is mixed directly with the petrol right in the fuel tank. Second, that combined oil-fuel mixture is inducted straight through the carburetor. And finally, as that mixture flows through the engine to be burned, the oil inside it continuously coats and lubricates all those internal parts along the way. Now, because that specific fuel-oil ratio in a 2-stroke or the precise SAE grade in a 4-stroke is so absolutely essential for performance, it leaves us with one pretty vital question. Knowing what you know now about heat, friction, pour points, and the sheer violence happening inside that metal block, are you confident you're giving your engine the exact lifeblood it actually needs to survive? Hopefully, the next time you check your dipstick or buy a quart of oil, you'll appreciate the incredible science making it all happen. Thanks so much for exploring this with me today. I'll catch you on the next explainer.